My dad's always telling me how I'm not as smart as my brother, how I'm basically a failure in the eyes of the family, and I'm just trying to figure out why he resents me so much. I never did anything to deserve this. I just don't have a love for science, which my father and my brother do. I don't know what to do about this situation, but let me share the whole reason I came here to post this today. You must have heard of this really old saying, that you should never judge a book by its cover. Well, my dad realized this big lesson in life, but at the cost of something really huge. My name's Ashton, and sadly I always felt jealous of those who have a happy family, consisting of loving parents and unproblematic siblings. It's not like I have an unrealistic expectation of my own family. I sometimes feel like I'm lagging on basic things that were neglected. I don't know if I'm overreacting, or are you being too demanding, or expect way too much that is beyond normal. So let me tell you about the situation because I really need your advice. My dad, Victor, seems like he's a parent to his only son, Asher, but I'm just an extra one. The one he didn't plan to have, but got, nonetheless, and now he has to bear me in his house. I'm his son and younger brother to Asher, but only in the eyes of outsiders. You might be wondering why I'm using such words for my own parents and siblings. I'm not making this up. My father neglected me ever since I first spoke, which was quite late for my age, and I also had stammering issues. It took me a lot to, efforts of improving my communication skills. Even if I had an older brother, he never helped me out with it. Instead, he would make fun of me or call me out or dress, greet, or toast the guest in public settings. He's really mean to me, and Dad's always disappointed because of my presence during such times. My dad, Victor, had always aspired to be a scientist, but he could not do that because of his financial issues. Aside from that, it was a time-consuming field of work with no guarantee of success. Dad could only be the teacher, so things eventually turned out to be manageable in terms of finances. And Dad's always felt proud to call Asher his son and introduce him to his friends and college students. He was obedient and officially a nerd, just according to the likings of his father. And then there's me. Even though I had a scientific bent of mind and was great at math and calculus, my achievements have never been appreciated. Well, yeah, talking about Mom, she left Dad because she thought that he wasn't talented and capable enough. And she had been pessimistic about his career, which had a bleak future and absolutely no income. His successful and wealthy lab friend swooned her away, leaving me behind. If you heard it right alone, well, because Asher was his dad, and it was me who was left in the place that had never been my home. They were only kind enough to let me share their space. Well, I was heartbroken when Mom left me with Asher and my so-called father, and whenever I asked Dad about her, he came up with the most brutal replies to rip off the self-confidence of a kid. He used to say that she was punishing them by leaving me, so they had to bear me for life, and Asher, who used to hurt, bully, and tease me, has never even once treated me like his brother. Maybe somewhere the credit goes to his father because of his encouragement of such behavior. He only learned from Dad the way he treated me. He just followed his father, and that made me realize that Asher actually lacks his own critical thinking skills. He just blindly follows whatever he's told to do without using his common sense, and if Dad gets upset with me, he also behaves the same. If I have an argument with Dad, he also starts reflecting the same through his responses, and obviously, you would question why Dad has always been like that. Well, if you have asked me this 20 years ago, I would not have been able to answer, but now that I'm 26 years of age, I can conclude that whenever he sees me, somewhere he sees himself in me. He believed that his reflection of his failed self was found in me. Well, that was obviously not the case, because he judged me on the basis of what he perceived of me, and he failed to realize that he himself was responsible for the kind of image that he created. His constant neglect, aloofness, and embarrassment about my existence made me feel like I was less deserving. But the actual problem lies with him. His own ego issues made me a victim of all his ill parenting. So it's easy for you to guess that being a part of such a family must have been difficult for me as a child. Well, yes, you're right. It was difficult, but just like every cloud has a silver lining. Even if I'm lucky in one sphere of life, which is having friends at school, and not just any friends, but I'm saying real friends who stand by you. They were certainly not the saviors who could rescue me from a difficult situation. They could not save me if Asher beat me up, but they could certainly join in. Just kidding, it never happened for real, but you get an idea of what I'm actually talking about. Whenever I tend to have a bad day, I sneak out just to spend time at my friend's place. As a result, I became quite a social person. I could talk fluently with anyone without ever stammering, and my family, still unaware of this fact, used to believe that I was the same as I've been since childhood. But I've grown up to become entirely opposite of what I used to be. And that realization hit them a lot later in life. That day I can never forget. It was at the wedding that father's friend's son was getting married. So I was called to make a toast at the wedding, as Asher usually does. But just to embarrass me, tables turned this time as Dad was nervous and guests were waiting for the same as they've been experiencing. But as I spoke, their expressions were a treat to my eyes. When everybody clapped, Asher sulked, excused himself, and left. That day, Dad started talking normally with me, and Asher excluded himself entirely. Also, one more amazing thing happened, guys. The guy who was getting married, his sister Layla, was really pretty when I first noticed her. I felt like I had turned into an old, shy Ashton, but I'm grateful for her extrovertism and confidence that she herself took the initiative. We became friends, even though there was something I doubted that we had between us. That was because Asher, who also tried to team up with her to pull my leg just for the sake of his fragile ego, instead ended up doing something opposite. He made a damn fool of himself when she did not take his side. Well, when I started feeling like things had turned out to be better, Asher started becoming the problem. I was in high school at the time, and he started becoming competitive to the point where he became downright annoying. He was 1 year ahead of me, and during the time of exams, he even started making excuses. Excuses about how he did not focus on his studies for some reason because I was around. Well, not only that, but due to his lame excuses, he took my room from me and shifted me to his. At that time, I did not bother to really care that much, since I barely spent time at my home anyways. Rather, I was busy enjoying my life with Layla, taking her out on dates, movies, dinners. Everything was fine in my life. I was living a typical life like every high school teenager does. Update number 1. I wish such happiness would be more long-lasting, but it never is. Asher's exam results are out and Dad's gone crazy with happiness, until things hit low again with Dad and me. You see, Asher soon cleared his exam and secured admission to a great college. Dad, proud of him again, started giving him his entire time and importance. He threw a small party to celebrate his achievement, and Asher clearly enjoyed the limelight and attention that he got. And as always, I invited Layla because I knew I'd be bored in the middle of the constant boasting of Asher by my father. I was happy minding my business when Asher intervened between me and Layla. He starts introducing himself to Layla while passing out snide remarks about her choice of guys. It was clear that he didn't like us together. The jealousy was dripping from his voice, and I enjoyed making things worse for him by claiming the relationship with her while pushing him away from her to create a bit of a decent, respectable distance. Reluctantly, Asher backed off, but I failed to realize that was just a little bit of jealousy that gradually piled up. It's becoming more explicit with each passing day. Not only that, I got into high school last year, where everybody started looking up at their majors, and Asher did not stop making things worse for me, either in academics or in personal life, and talking about father, he only blamed me for everything. First, talking about academics, I wanted to opt for business, advertising, or something related to commerce, but Asher, being a student of science who blindly followed the steps of father, opted for the same major, and when my turn came, he informed father that I've had a different plan in life, and was not going to carry on the legacy that father had dreamt of. Well, he's good at exaggerating things. You know, it's not a big deal to have your choice of future plans without consulting your parents every single time. Dad, who was always, obviously, the dominant one in the family, liked the obedience, or rather, should I say, blind followers like Asher. Well, which made it easy for him to get offended. And Asher triggered Dad by talking about my materialistic pursuit of life. He portrayed me as such that I'm similar to Mother, trying to undermine Dad's capability in terms of financial success and having a rebellious attitude, which was absolutely ridiculous and made no sense to me. But hey, the impact was really bad because Dad announced his disagreement in the name of refusing to fund my higher education or any support. Similarly, in my personal life, when I was not able to make time for Layla because I had extra classes to attend, he befriended her and started planting doubts in her head regarding my relationship with her. Not only that, Asher, who himself had turned out to be a brat, started taking Layla into the parties. And on the day of my birthday, I wanted to celebrate, not very much, because I didn't have much time because of exams. So I thought of just spending some quality time with Layla. But she said that she had an appointment to attend, so she couldn't make it. Yeah, I was a little sad, but I could not do anything about it. Then a few of my school friends turned up and we went to a club to celebrate my birthday, where I watched Asher and Layla together. That's right. I could not stop myself and asked what she was doing there after canceling my plans. She looked a little baffled, but Asher did not mind. And then I got to know from him that Layla had recently been auditioning for modeling gigs, which she had started applying for just a few months ago. Layla justified that she was too drunk to come over to my place, and she apologized for not coming over before I could ask further. Asher stepped in, pushing me away from her, telling me that I was making her feel uncomfortable and that I should back off with a decent distance. Offended by Asher repeating the same words and seeing Layla like this, I left. It was the worst birthday ever. I started imagining that Layla must be betraying me. Because of this, I could not study well for the exams, which were approaching, and I could not understand why that even happened. Was I overreacting looking at them together? Top comments from the post. Comment number 1. Well, this was clear, OP. You know your parenting has been terrible, but on the brighter side, there's some potential that things could get better with your father, if only your brother did not ruin it. I mean, I could only suggest that you not let these things impact your career and life. Stay focused. One day your father will appreciate your achievements. And also, talking of your brother, yes, he's definitely trying to steal away your girlfriend. But you should not worry about that either, because if she truly loves you, she will be by you, in the rough phases of your life and whatnot, or else she was never meant to be yours, and you don't have to be regretting losing somebody who betrays you. Comment number 2. Oh, OP, you have had enough in your life and you don't deserve this. You're clearly not overreacting, and there's nothing that you were expecting from your family that is unjustified. No one deserves such family. Leave this place as soon as you can, because living by yourself is better than dealing with this toxicity like this. Either take control of your life or keep getting exploited by them. Your brother and dad need therapy, or you'll end up taking one while dealing with these crazy, selfish people around you. Update number 2. Hey guys, you're damn right about everything right now. Thanks for your support while I was alone and confused. This platform gave me so much motivation and guidance, and I started using it on advice of my school friends. Today I realized that the family is the one we chose. And guess what? Earlier Dad indicated this to me through his actions, but now he has made this very, very explicit. He officially disowned me. Yeah, you heard it right. Just mentioning it is shocking and heartbreaking. It's an understatement. But right now I'm falling short of words. I'm devastated. To the extent that I started questioning my existence from now on. I mean, guys, this is how it happened. My exams were supposed to be the next morning, and after studying, I returned from the library in the evening. Yes, I don't study at home because it mostly belongs to Dad and Asher. The availability of peace for a better focus is completely out of the question. Also, Dad would not let me study and would keep me busy with his chores, like I was his personal assistant. Because Asher is too skilled and smart for such mundane tasks, another shock awaited me right? When Dad told me to hand over Asher's snacks to his room because he's hanging out with his friends. So I go and knock on his door, and he yelled to come inside, and I was shocked to find Layla right there in his room. She too appeared to be nervous about getting caught. Guys, my feet froze at the sight of her, and I was on the verge of tears. Asher told me to put them on the table and get out. Well, I got furious and started questioning Layla about why she's doing this to me. Asher was trying to push me out of the room, and I yelled back at him this time. Dad also came upstairs, and Asher asked Father why he sent me to his room, and now I'm creating drama after hindering his privacy. I told my father that Asher was the one responsible for it because he cheated on me with my girlfriend and had no right to talk about his privacy. Well, Dad laughed and said, "How could I be able to have a girlfriend in the first place? I must be lying." But then Layla looked up embarrassed and confessed that I was right. I was mistaken that, at least this time, he would support my stand because Asher was at fault today, right? Well, things just kept getting worse because he's still defending Asher's actions, saying that she might have changed her mind. Also, Asher has a more promising future, so Layla did not hesitate to jump ships. Layla, who got courage after seeing the agreement from both sides, did not hesitate to confess that I've already committed more to studies and career than to this relationship, and she felt she was left out and not serious about her life. Asher became so supportive of her and now helps her get modeling gigs and other projects to kickstart the career. Asher, who turned into a spoiled brat ever since he started college, has had such connections as well. Well, I was surprised that someone lacking conscience left Asher aside, but Dad and Layla? I could not control my outrage and started counting all the injustices that he's done to me since childhood and adding that he was an absolute terrible father. Dad, furious, slapped me and told me to leave his house within 10 minutes or he would start throwing my stuff onto the road, which would cause embarrassment and entertain the neighborhood. So I packed everything that I could fit within 10 minutes before I could not bear the sight of anyone in this room or this house anyways. The house in which I lived was never my home. As expected, I flunked my exam because of the condition that I've been facing. I spent the entire night at my school's friend's place. His parents were really kind enough to give me space for a few nights because of my unstable mental condition. I was forever grateful to them. Not only that, but my teachers have allowed me to retest, and thankfully, my future was saved. In a few days, I got admission to college with a scholarship where I could also reside in a hostel and just pay dues to my friends' parents through my part-time job, who were really kind to me during these hard times. Update number 3. Hey guys, I thought it would be my last update because I just used this platform to share and lighten up my emotional burden by writing my sob story, but something really unusual happened to me. That turned my life completely upside down, and maybe for the better. Hopefully this will last a long time. So as I previously stated, I began living in a hostel and studying on scholarship. It's been more than 2 years since I left home, and Asher, my so-called brother, got married to Layla. I could never imagine a person like him falling for someone. I didn't get any invitations, and neither did I care. My life, after so long, just felt on track. I worked as a part-time bartender. I received great tips, and people often shared their stories. It was actually a fulfilling job to give people a shoulder to cry on and listening to them. It was really good to know how people have so much to express when they're drunk. I actually felt productive at my job, but the things changed when I spotted a skinny woman. I realized it was someone at the bar. I didn't want to confront Layla, so I hid away from her sight, and not only that, but her visits became frequent, and I started keeping an eye on her, curious to know what she was doing, but egoistic enough to not talk to her again. So this is the only way to know, and one day I noticed her hiding something fishy and went into the ladies' restroom, and I could not control my curiosity and snuck in there. I was shocked to find her inhaling a white substance from a paper roll. I was thinking of informing the owner to warn him when I saw Asher come in to pick her up. I ran away from the spot, and my sixth sense was telling me to steer clear of the scene because something nasty was about to take place. I thought she might be overthinking or my old fears might have kicked in, but no. I heard the police car coming with these blaring sirens and immediately contacted the owner, but his call did not answer. So I just left him a message. The customers and staff were targeted, and then suddenly I got the owner's call back. I informed him about the cops and the drug case, and I also told him about Layla. He came at the right time and simply handled the situation, and Layla was arrested by the police. Well, I breathed a sigh of relief, but then the owner thanked me for warning and helping him out to rescue his bar from cops. Otherwise, it would have cost him severely. Seeing me faithful to my job, he also asked me about my qualifications, and later promoted me to join his company as his accountant. I was not a bartender anymore. Though I did love my previous job, I have no complaints about this one as well. I gladly accepted it, and one extra benefit I got was that the drinks were free for me on certain days. I was happy with that incentive, and that day I got one more friend, and I thanked Layla this time. One day on the weekend, while enjoying my drinks at the bar, I saw Asher come up to me. He was drunk and started asking me why I informed the cops about the smuggling of the drugs. But instead of answering, I questioned him back about how he found that out. He told me the day that he came to pick up Layla, and from there he saw me talking to someone on the phone. I was simply waiting for him to do something to scare me, but he apologized for everything that's happened between us and hugged me. I felt weird. But he simply smiled and left, and in a few minutes when I finished my drink, the cops came to arrest me, and while frisking, they found drugs in my pocket. I was locked behind the bars, and I was confused about how it happened, and I talked to the owner to help bail me out, but then I realized that Asher must have put them in my pockets when he came close to me. So I asked the bar owner to see the CCTV footage. Thankfully, I was bailed out, but Asher got arrested and Dad came to bail him out, and Dad ignored me, and now I could not let go of them that easily. So I talked to Layla and told her that Asher was cheating on her with someone else. When I was coming to tell her that he had trapped me in the case of drugs, she didn't trust me because she said that I was the one who complained about her. Well, I lied, just to convince her that Asher never liked me. So what does she expect of him to defend himself? Well, not only that, if somebody like my father, who would not think twice before throwing out his own son, she is just a daughter-in-law who's not even blood-related, would not hesitate to wreak havoc on her if anything goes wrong with Asher, if she thinks of filing a complaint against him. That would work. So I suggested that she leaves both of them. Knowing she was already a drug junkie, she might need money, so I tried to show her the incentive that she should stand up for herself. She could have a house in her own name. I knew that D&D would never get this house to me. It all belonged to Asher. Not only that, but to make Layla trust me even more, I helped her with my lawyer, who was my bar friend and would help her file the divorce. She believed me and liked the idea, and I knew Layla was an opportunist and would fall for it. I also had enough savings to be her buyer. I also showed her forged pictures of Asher cheating with a girl while she was gone. According to her, unaware of the fact that he got arrested and that Asher would be too embarrassed to tell the truth, I just hope things turn out as I'm expecting, and I've known Layla enough to know exactly how to deal with her. Update number 4. Hey guys, so I'm writing this with great news to you while sitting at home. Yes, you're right, my own home, the house where I used to live, but it failed to be my home. But this time I made it happen. First, let me tell you, beginning with the expectations that I had of Layla, which turned out to be right. So, after just a few days, she called me back and said that she was not happy with Asher. He was hot-headed and did not know how to think logically. She's tired of such behaviors of his and had also attempted to raise his hand on her. I consoled and comforted Layla, who was on fumes, and fueled her grudges further by helping her get what she needed to sell the house to me. I arranged their meeting with my lawyer and got the papers ready. Asher did not know that she wanted to get divorced from him. She just told him that she was insecure about my father, example, her father-in-law, who might throw her out of the house because she was unable to give him grandchildren or granddaughters, specifically. And because of this, she wanted to claim ownership of the house as her security. As expected from him, he could not think when he was carried away. And he signed the papers without bothering to read them carefully, trusting his wife with her lawyer, and she got his signature, which helped her get a divorce from him and give her ownership of his house under her name with free will, as an alimony. Asher only knew that he signed the house paper for her, but he was unaware of the fact that she was divorcing him as well. And that house was her alimony, which was later sold to me at a cheap price because she could not wait to buy her new stock of drugs, which were about to expire soon apparently. But honestly, I didn't care much after that since I bought the property, which I got much lower than the cost of its actual rate. Layla was not concerned about the fair deal. All she cared about was her drugs not going out of stock. As I transferred the payment and got official ownership of the house, I barged inside my home with the documents and informed my father and Asher that I now claimed this house. His so-called smart son had signed the papers without bothering to read them carefully and named them after his lovely wife, who now sold her property to me. Ash's carelessness astounded father, which made him realize who the stupid one was. He could not believe it, but the evidence was self-explanatory, and then I told them to pack their crap within 10 minutes before I start throwing stuff onto the road, which would be more embarrassing and entertaining for the neighborhood. Well, Dad realized that he sowed what was reaped by being a terrible dad, and now he has a son like that who is as real as him. Presently, he was residing in an old age home. Layla was admitted to rehab, and Asher was sent to jail in the case of domestic abuse. So it just looks like Ashton was having to put up with so much stuff from Asher and OP's father. I just want to know your thoughts on this story, guys, because a lot of it at the end, I don't know if it would really work out like that here in America. I don't know what country this story was written in, but I just imagine it's way harder to sign over a house without someone knowing. I just feel like someone could go to court and get that reversed. If anybody has any knowledge about that, let me know if today's story could happen here in America. I want to know your thoughts about it, guys, so drop your comments down below in the comment section. My name's Mr. Reddito, and I narrate stories just like today, every day. So to be a part of these daily videos, all you gotta do is hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and just remember, it's cool to be kind. Peace.